You guys, CJK1231 back again with another hip hop album review. Today we are doing Rick Ross, Port of Miami 2. Came out in August of 2019, so it was like last month, being that this is September when I'm recording this. Last time I actually heard a Rick Ross project, or I was actually paying attention to him. I mean, I paid attention to all the hits he's come out with over the years, but as far as a full project, luckily, as I said, I've heard his other albums in parts, but from a front-to-back perspective, the last one, ironically for this review, that I did listen to, but I haven't heard in a long time, so I would need to refresh myself, is Port of Miami 1. Yes, for a good amount of years, I'd say from like 08 to, let's say, from 2008 to earlier this year, I've kind of stopped listening to mainstream radio and mainstream artists and stuff. So there's like a bunch of people that you would consider legends, or not legends, but let's say veterans today, like the Drakes, J. Cole's, Kendricks, and all that. I probably haven't listened to most of their discography because I've just been stuck in the old ways, being that I was raised by my father and I was brought up on, like, I guess what people would consider like better hip hop, the 90s, the golden era. So if it wasn't sounding like up to par with that quality, I didn't care for it. Which is a big mistake that I'm learning to correct now, but I say all that to say this, is that if you expected me to go into some deep dive into this, I can't really, because I haven't heard most of Rick Ross's discography just from not caring. So, the last thing I actually did hear in full was the Port of Miami 1. So I know everything I just said within this minute and 51 seconds is probably going to be looked at as a sin to most hip-hop fans that were fans of that whole decade and such. But, hey, all I gotta say is, well, we basically not learn from our mistakes, but, you know, we move on and try to regain what we lost, and, you know, hopefully we move forward and move along with today's stuff, such as this album. Now I want to say, now I'm gonna stop talking some bullshit and get back into the album. This album, for me, when I listen to it, sounds like the true definition of a hustler's album. Like, this is the album for all those striving for success that are basically at the bottom. You know the saying that Drake made, started from the bottom, now you gotta make it there. You know what I mean? Ironically, Drake is on this album as well. By the way, if you're hearing all this noise, it's not me scratching, it's me with the pen, like scraping the notebook. So I had a comment on that in my other videos, but anywho, let's get back to this shit. So yes, this is a hustler's album. This is like if, the best way to describe this is like if the movie Scarface was put into an album in modern times with a modern sound and the, you know, high tempo BPM beats. It's like a very, I'm gonna catch some flack for this. I know I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but this is only as an example. This is like a very, very polished, commercial, like driven, only built for Cuba Links type album, but except without the movie theme, and it's not as good as that album is. But then again, it might not, it's probably not supposed to be anyways. Rick Ross does the music that he knows he's gonna love and his fans are gonna love. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, you have great production. I always heard Rick Ross had a great ear for beats, and he definitely does, seeing that he got production from, I'll name the ones that stick out to me: Justice League, Just Blaze, Jake One, DJ Toon, and I actually thought one of the productions on this album had Sam Snead on it, but it's actually Sam Sneak. It's not Snead, Sneak. So there's that. Street Runner, Rent Billionaire. I mean, a lot of these people did amazing stuff on this album. I can't front. As far as the features, you have Wale, Gunplay, Summer Walker, Dej Loaf, Swizz Beatz, Ad Lib and Only, Meek Mill, Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, Tiana Taylor, Young Jeezy, YFNL Lucci and Ball Greasy, A Boogie with the Hoodie, Denzel Curry, John Legend, Lil Wayne, and Drake. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I really had to say. I mean, Rick Ross does go very deep, not in verses, but in parts of his verses. Like, he'll talk about the struggles of living this life, then splurge on you for the next 2 bars, then finish off the rest of the verse with the theme that he started with the struggle. So a lot of this album is basically, if you're coming into this for the first time listening to a Ross album, it's him giving you some deep driven messages within the splurging, kind of. It's like if I like stunt on you, but as I'm stunting on you, if you listen to what I'm saying close enough, even though it's stunting, it's actually a gem I'm dropping on you. That's kind of what his verses do throughout the whole project. And being at the Port of Miami, the first one was about him trying to come up and do the drug dealing and all that stuff. Being at the Port of Miami 2, you expect that kind of messaging delivered to you that in that way. So I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised. It was done really well. Some of them I did find could have been better a bit. We'll get into them as we get into the favorite tracks. This is actually a front and back page front and back pager as far as like the notes I took. Like some notes written in the front and in the back, just because there's so much to write. And I might as well get into the favorite tracks. But first, let's count how many tracks I actually like off the album. Out of 15 tracks, I like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn the page. 7, 8, 9. So that's actually pretty good. That's I would say a B minus. You think about it, at least, or maybe a C plus at most. So, anywho, let's get into the favorite tracks. I like Turnpike Ike, which was him flossing it essentially, basically talking about how he puts work on the turnpike, which I think there's only like a couple of bars on that, and then everything else is like him flossing. Which, by the way, the beat is crazy because Jake One did actually do the beat, so salute Jake One. We love you. Summer Rain, I actually like the fact that he sampled a sample by what's his name, Jaco Pastrins. I believe I'm pronouncing that name wrong, but this sample was also sampled by Chiggy and SWV. So I mean, so automatically the beat is A-OK. And it's basically the female joint. Basically talks about how he basically spoils his chick or his woman. And Summer Walker is on this. Her voice is amazing on the song too. It's really perfect marriage between Ross and Summer Walker. Can't really complain about this track. I mean, unless you don't like the materialistic rap and him just talking about how he just like flosses his girl and spoils her because he loves her, then you're definitely gonna have an issue with it. But I don't, because the music itself is great. So that means lyrics, hook, beat all around. Big Time, the Just Blaze beat that has Swizz Beatz ad-libbing, and I mean, of course Rick Ross is ad-libbing too, but this is just him talking about a multitude of things. Like I said, he switches up subjects within his bars, basically trying to create one narrative for each verse that he does. So it's like, okay, the first verse he's talking about he's in the church and he's praying to God with his hands across, and essentially he still needs to do what he needs to do because his mom's rent is due, so he has to pay that, you know what I mean? And that he also alludes to one day wanting to be where Jay-Z's at as far as currency-wise and status-wise. Jay-Z has a recording in his videos, and probably for the foreseeable future is a fucking billionaire. And he's well off, trust me. So, I mean, the fact that Rick Ross is looking forward to being at his level one day just tells you how Jay-Z's doing. So, anywho, Swizz on the ad-libs, and Just Blaze at this point in his career, all the classics he's done, I don't think he could do any wrong on a beat. I haven't heard a whack Just Blaze beat yet, and if I have, it's probably why I don't remember it, because it's not that memorable. But for the most part, his catalog is full of dope beats. Bogus Charms, I actually like the song. I really think Meek Mill, he kills this whole song, definitely, because his verse talks about basically how your so-called fake friends would just take you out just so that they could be in the position you're in, and how you shouldn't take some of your success for granted, because like with him, he was going through that whole trial, being locked up, and the bogus judge. I don't know the full story, but I know that some of the courts, some of the people that played a part in his trial and stuff had it out for him, so they try to it was a long history of things, but I could tell that experience is where he pulled his latest album from last year and a lot of his recent verses from. So, and then Rick Ross also talks about the same exact thing, so there's not much to deep dive in there. He just talks about it in a different way, how it affected him. Then you have rich N-word lifestyle. I think you guys know by now I refuse to say the N-word just because, I think it's an offspring of a word that was used to degrade a race of people. And I'm not black, so I'm not even going to act like I have. I mean, people have given me passes, but I just don't feel, it doesn't feel right coming from me, so I'd rather not. So, I know, sidebar. But anyway, this sample to this song samples the same sample that Jay-Z used for Sweet on his now classic American Gangster album from 2007. It is basically him and Nipsey Hussle, which, by the way, rest in peace. Talking about being your own boss and not, basically be wary of all these fake gangsters that try to, talk that shit but not really about it. This is why Nipsey actually takes a shot at Tekashi 6ix9ine at the fact that he was surprised that other people thinking that he was actually the guy that he said he was, and yet now you see him snitching on the whole world and everything in it. And basically Vic Ross's last verse is talking about, all the things that come with this lifestyle: jealousy, envy, entitlement, all that stuff. That's why it's called rich and word lifestyle, because when you're rich and you're on the top, it's like Biggie said, the more money you have, the more problems you get, and problems can come in many forms. So, at the end of the day, you just gotta deal with it, be your own boss, so that way you don't have nobody meddling in it, and that's the true meaning of living rich. Not just for currency, but currency because you own it and you developed it. So, I mean, shout out for that messaging and the beat, of course. So that's an amazing song. And the next song is, I can't even pronounce it. Fasten, is the track, I believe. I can't I can't pronounce this shit, guys. I'm sorry. I can't believe I wrote this shit this ugly. My hand, let me show you guys. My handwriting is horrible, if you can see it. So, I mean, Fascinical, I guess. It's basically him saying, rest in peace to all the people that he knew playing the same game that he was playing, which is essentially hustling, and basically a fuck off to all those other fake dudes that think they're gangsters, that act like they know these people that died, and try to have their deaths and the people themselves be a part of their legacy when they never put in any work. You know what I'm saying? That's like if I was a fake person and I never lived that lifestyle, and yet I hear about some guy that was famous in my neighborhood, he dies, and yet I go and try to type on in Instagram or Facebook yeah, shout out to him, he was a real dude, I'm trying to live off his strength. That's exactly what Rick Ross is basically saying, F those people. And he basically talks about how people are after him, you know what I mean, which is, I guess it's a normal part of that lifestyle. You're definitely going to have people that are going to come after you, especially when they know that you're putting in work and you're basically coming up in the game. So you're a competition, so you're fair game. You got to be taken out. So guys, again, excuse me for that mispronunciation of the title. I'll probably put it in the description or in the comment section once I do get the name of that title. I already know people are going to hike on me because it's probably something so simple to pronounce, but go ahead, do it. Let's have some fun. Be creative if you're going to hike too. And then you have I Still Pray, which, by the way, Ball Greasy spits amazing on this. He definitely spits on, he has an inside look on living that life, playing the game, the success, the worries of all that come with it. I mean, most of the subject matter on this album is pretty much the same thing. I'd be basically repeating myself, but it does speak a lot. This is the song where, I guess in the intro, I think at one point Rick Ross actually was sick, and I think that's where they pulled the footage from. I could be wrong again, so but I think off remember, I do believe they said that he was in a coma one time. I believe so. But, Rick Ross takes that, and he basically, when I heard Rick Ross's verse, the first verse, I almost felt like he was spitting from the perspective of he's still hooked onto the tubes, but his spirit has came out of his body, and now he's watching himself deteriorating. So his spirit is spitting the first verse from the spirit point of view, because he talks about how what's the worth of having all this money and you're effing yourself up, you know what I mean, by abusing it and therefore abusing your body, and that he'll give it all up just to have the tubes off and be healthy again, and wishes the world was not a better place, but that the young people coming up in this game aren't dying, and that everybody can eat, so nobody would have to play the game in the first place. So yeah, very deep, introspective track. At the end of the day, I really do think that that's and the beat is amazing too. Again, he has an ear for beats. So and you have Running the Streets, that talks about him basically leaving to put in work, knowing that his woman's at home, staying up, hoping that he'll come home, when even she knows that he's probably not going to come home because work has to be done. And if he's successful, he's not coming back to that next day. And if he's unsuccessful, he's dead and he's not coming back at all. And Denzel Curry burns this track to ashes, okay? Denzel Curry's fucking spazzes on this fucking song. I mean, he basically spit a verse in which he, I think, addressed every single thing you could possibly address when dealing with this type of situation. You know, he has to put in the work, trying to get to connect, you know, texting his woman like, look, if I don't make it home, just know that, you know, I love you and whatever. And hopefully he talks about saving some money so that in case something happens to him, she's better off, and that hopefully she could teach their upcoming son or daughter to be a better person than he is for doing what he is right now, and hopefully his child will have to live this life. It's real crazy, man. I mean, I think I probably spoiled it, but, you know, hopefully it won't spoil the experience when you hear that verse, because that verse, yeah. And final favorite track, Gold Rose, is the last track on the album, which has Drake. This beat and hook is amazing. I mean, Drake's known for doing amazing hooks anyway, but the beat is crazy, especially with that vocal sample. But Drake, he talks about multitude of things in his verse. Talks about, you know, not trying to hear from a girl who only wants him for the attention and loves the attention. He also does mention celebrating with his friends and how he's thinking ahead, like in 2020. And he also says that, you know, he also mentions his son in the verse where it's like, even though I'm not there, I'm still there for him, supporting him. Like, these are things that he's talking about in, like, bars. And I'm just trying to address it all because these are all things that kind of came to me as I heard them. So you have that. And then you have Ross talking about, again, like he had on the I Still Pray, which is why have success if all you're going to do is get lonely. He talks about how he had a mansion with 100 rooms in it, but he's just by himself, and it was depressing. And he talks about how it affects his woman, and, you know, with college loans, you know, coming back to haunt him or haunt her. But man, a very, very deep closing for such a. Actually, it's actually pretty thematic. You know, a lot of hustler movies, Scarface, Carlito's Way, Godfather, they always end on some note to which the main person, Bronx Tale, always ends up with something happening to the guy striving to get to where he's trying to get, and it's never pretty. So I mean, for this to be the outro, to like lament on all those things, it's like you're finally here, but you know, now you have all these problems. It just goes to show you that even though a lot of people are hustling and trying to make money and trying to come up and live that, you know, rich fantasy life that a lot of these other billionaires live, it just goes to show that even though when you do reach that status point, you're still going to have issues. It's just not going to be in the same form. Instead of, you know, the issues of living in the projects or the hood and dealing with people coming after you and jealousy and envy and having to watch out from getting hit with a straight bullet and all the things that the ghetto brings you, is that even if you do become successful, now you got to deal with certain things that success brings. Like, you know, you're mad rich, but, you know, as you're rich and as you know, like, basically dive deep into your currency madness, you might tend to neglect others, and now it's like you stray from everybody. Now you're by yourself sometimes, and you have money issues and all that stuff, and the jealousy is there still because now you're rich. Everybody's looking at you like, I mean, I'm probably going way, way more deeper than what the song was actually trying to talk about, but it is like something that, like, the song gives you those little pieces so that way it makes you think about it on a bigger spectrum. At least that's how I felt when I listened to this. So I mean, so yeah, those are my favorite tracks, guys, off the album. 15 tracks, I like 9 of them. And you know, I was actually surprised because every time I heard a Ross single on the radio, it sounded like any other commercial shit that would play at the time. Materialistic flossing, all that shit. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very good album. Great music. I would recommend to listen, I suppose. I mean, it is what it is. But now let's get to the rating. I thought about it, and this is basically for me a strong 4. It's a strong 4 because of the fact that it has amazing production, it has amazing lyrics, features kill it, but it, I mean, it's just in between great and amazing. Like it didn't like you know how the Little Brother or the Common or the Rhapsody or the Brockhampton, like all those other albums that I gave either a 4.5 or a 5, like it didn't like make me go like wow, but it's still an amazing album in its own right. You see what I'm saying? So just because it's a 4 doesn't mean that it's bad, okay? So that's all I'm trying to say. But anywho, guys, that's about it. So yeah, Rick Ross, Port of Miami Part 2, 4 out of 5. Next album, I don't know. We'll just play it by ear at this point. But until then, like, comment, be safe, love you, and subscribe only if you feel I've earned it, because subscriptions are earned, not asked for. Okay. With that being said, see you next video.